The Horse, the Donkey, the Mule, and the Shadows Outside by Abebe Negash, truth seeker for Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace. Inside the narrow enclosure, the horse, donkey, and mule struggled with one another, forgetting they were trapped in the same shrinking space. But what they did not see, or pretend not to see, was what waits outside the fence. Beyond the thin wooden wall, hyenas circled. Wolves prowled in silence, and a lion, patient and calculating, watched everything with cold eyes. These predators were not fighting each other. They did not waste energy on jealousies or old grudges. They were united in one goal: to see the three animals remain divided, weak, exhausted, easy to devour one by one. The hyena laughed in the night, let them argue about purity and identity. The weaker they become, the easier my meal. The wolf whispered to the lion, let them blame each other for the fence tightening. I will push them with fear. You pull them with promises. And the lion, king in its own mind, thought, if I can provoke one to fight the other, the fence will break just enough for me to drag one out and feast. The predators knew a truth the three animals had not yet understood. As long as the horse, donkey, and mule fight among themselves, the outside world will feast on their suffering. They planned carefully. The hyena pushed rumors under the fence. The wolf scratched the ground to make it sound like danger come from within. The lion roared in the distance to terrify them. And inside the enclosure, the horse blamed the donkey blamed the mule, and the mule blamed the horse, just as the predators intended. But one night, during a moment of silence, the three animals finally listened, really listened. They heard the hyena's quiet laughter, the wolf's footsteps circling, the lion's breath waiting in the darkness. Suddenly, a new understanding dawned. The danger was not just inside the fence. The real danger was outside, waiting, hungry, patient, thriving on their division. For the first time, the horse said to the donkey, we have been fighting the wrong battle. The donkey said to the mule, your survival is tied to mine. And the mule said to both, if they eat one of us, the other two will follow. So something changed. The three stood back to back, shoulder to shoulder, facing outward. No longer enemies, now guardians of each other's survival. The hyena stopped laughing. The wolf retreated. The lion stepped back into the shadows, because predators only attack when their prey is divided. When the three animals united, the predators lost power. This is Ethiopia today. Inside the fence are old wounds, historical grievances, identity struggles, trauma, mistrust. But outside the fence are foreign agendas, regional rivalries, proxy wars, those who benefit from Ethiopia's weakness, those who prefer Ethiopia divided, exhausted, and distracted. When Ethiopians fight each other, external predators circle. When Ethiopians stand together, those predators vanish into the night. Unity does not mean becoming the same. Unity means protecting each other from the forces that want all of us to fall. This is the truth. This is the warning. This is the hope. So, if we go back and look at what was in the minds of those three, you can see the enemy was never each other. The enemy was the enclosure that trapped them all. Because at first they blame each other. None of them choose to be there. None of them built the fence around them. But there they stand together, unable to escape, unable to separate. The horse, proud and fast, asks, "Why should I be trapped with you? I am meant for open fields." The donkey, patient and stubborn, replies, "You run fast, but I carry the heavy loads. Why blame me?" And the mule, born from two worlds, shouts, "Both of you fight over who is pure, who is strong, who has the right, yet none of us can leave this space." These are Ethiopians born of two ethnic identities, or three or more. These are like the mule, trapped. They have no right citizenship in their own country. That is written on the constitution, that they have no place. Who made who pure? Day after day, these animals, they kick, bite, and shout at each other. They grow weaker. The food spoils, the water dries, and the fence grows thinner as they push and pull against it. Then something quite happens. The horse lies down from exhaustion. The donkey can no longer carry anything. The mule, bruised by both sides, stops fighting. For the first time, they all look around, really look, and see the truth. The enemy was never each other. The enemy was the enclosure that trapped them all. The horse realizes its speed means nothing if it cannot move freely. The donkey understands that the strength is wasted if it serves only conflict. The mule learns that suffering is multiplied when hatred is inherited. So the three animals change strategy, and instead of kicking one another, they push together. The horse using its power, the donkey its endurance, the mule its stability. The fence that held them for years cracks open. Fresh air enters the space. The grass grows again. All three walk out, not as one animal, but as one direction. So the horse and the donkey continue to multiply. And they discover this truth. Unity does not erase differences. Unity prevents destruction. Fragmentation only tightens the fence, but cooperation opens the gate. This is the story of Ethiopia today. Horse, donkey, mule. Nations, regions, cultures, all different, all proud, all wounded, yet all trapped in the same shrinking enclosure of conflict, trauma, poverty, and foreign interference. No one escapes alone. No one wins by biting the other. If Ethiopia is to breathe again, its people, all of them, must push in that one direction. Truth, justice, and shared future, and the fence will break. If we find this analogy sunk into you, my listeners, then let's get deep into the actual Ethiopian problem. Let's begin. Again, on behalf of Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace, this is Abebe Negash. Below is a neutral, evidence-based briefing that presents the Prosperity Party perspective on modernizing and uniting Ethiopia, how the party frames armed groups and foreign interference, and a candid strength, weakness, analysis with practical, peace-oriented recommendations. I speak as you requested, brothers and sisters. Frank searching for truth and focused on healing and stability. The Prosperity Party presents itself as a vehicle for national unity and economic modernization, moving away from strictly ethnic-based party structures toward a single national party that emphasizes multinational fraternity, state-led development, and institutional reform. The party issued a manifesto at its launch and has continued to publish internal strategy documents reinforcing these goals. Modernization and development. The first rhetoric. Prosperity Party messaging centers on rapid economic transformation, industrialization, infrastructure, foreign investment attraction, and large public projects as pathways to shared prosperity. Manifesto and party documents show this. And there's unity over ethnic particularism. The party stressed national unity and criticized political movements that it views as reviving ethnic fragmentation. The language frames centralizing reforms as necessary for a stable modern state. So, the Prosperity Party portrays firm security policy, including strong military response when required, as essential to protect the state and create the condition for development. This is often tied to rhetoric about external interference and spoilers. Labeling and delegitimization. The Prosperity Party government frequently frames armed opposition groups as security threats, violent spoilers, or criminal elements rather than purely political actors. A communication strategy used to justify security operations. These are seen across official statements and government media. There is also negotiation versus coercion tension. While the party sometimes participates in mediate settlements, like national dialogue initiatives, have been discussed there. In practice, there is a repeated tension between negotiation and military pressure, a dual approach that complicates trust building. There is also fragmentation and proxy dynamics. The communication problem is compounded by the reality that many armed actors are internally split or aligned with rival factions. Messages that treat opposition as monolithic tend to misdiagnose a multi-actor reality. Remember, we discussed about the mule, the horse, and the donkey. There is also foreign interference and regional complexity. How Prosperity Party frames it, and what outside actors actually do. The party framing for Prosperity Party often emphasizes foreign meddling as aggravating national instability, pointing to trans-border support, external patronage networks, and regional rivalries that fan the flames. The Gulf states and Egypt are one to blame. Reality on the ground shows that multiple credible analyses show the Horn states and extra-regional powers have intersected with Ethiopia's conflict, from Eritrean military involvement outside Ethiopian federal forces in the north to diplomatic and geopolitical competition, including water politics and Gulf actors' influence that complicate peacemaking. External actors' involvement frequently turns internal conflicts into multi-variable and transnational crises. So what are the strengths of the Prosperity Party? This is my neutral viewpoint. One, there is a clear developmental agenda, like it or not. The party's emphasis on infrastructure, investments, and national economic programs gives it a programmatic basis to promise tangible improvements: jobs, roads, industrial capacity, sea access, and hydroelectric dams, and what have you. And it's also in control of state apparatus. Being the ruling party, it can mobilize the resources and coordinate national projects quickly when political will exists. Useful for rapid modernization programs. 3. Narrative of unity resonates with many. For citizens exhausted by ethnic conflict, like the mule, the horse, and the donkey. A credible message of national unity and a strong state can appear attractive if paired with fairness and delivery. So if this is a strength, what are the weaknesses and real risks prosperity bring? This is again neutral and candid on my part. 1. Centralization versus constitutional federalism tension. The party's unity / centralization message is perceived by some regions and parties as a threat to the federal constitutional order. That perception fuels fear and resistance, making real reconciliation harder. 2. Security first posture can deepen grievances. Its heavy reliance, prosperity party's heavy reliance on military solution or securitized rhetoric risks civilian harm, abuses, and cycle of revenge that undercut long-term stability. Human rights investigations and reporting from the recent conflicts document severe abuses across actors. This reality weakens legitimacy for anyone seen as responsible. If you ask the Tigrayans, if you ask the Amhars, the Oromos, the Orthodoxes, what have you, they don't give legitimacy for this government. Why? Because it is atrocious. 3. Entrenched patronage and internal party dynamics. Because critics argue that the Prosperity Party's internal structure and concentration of power can reproduce the same exclusionary politics the party pledged to fix, meaning anything it inherited from Wayane or the TPLF era is at play. The same elite capture undermines meritocratic claims. So nothing changed. Only talk, only guns and guns. And there, we also have external proxy dynamics. Regional and extra-regional interference magnifies internal splits. The Prosperity Party risks being drawn into zero-sum regional contests. Example, Nile, Red Sea, and Gulf dynamics, which distract from domestic reform and can legitimize opposition narratives of external threat. So where truth is hardest to find now, if you were me, because Ethiopian problem is the multi-variable conflict problem. As we said it well with those 3 animals, the donkey, the horse, and the mule. The horse and the donkey produce the mule when life is in peace. Okay, anyways, this is rarely a single cause. Ethiopia's crisis combines historical grievances, competition over land and resources, weak institutions, especially the Prosperity Party, weak is weak in its nature by weakening institutions. The Islamic society, the Orthodox Christians institutions are being dismantled. There is also ethnic narratives and regional geopolitics. The same event can be interpreted differently by different communities, and at times there are actors inside the government, armed groups or foreign states complicit in atrocities. We heard many atrocities that one cannot believe they happened in a Christian society, in pure Muslim society. Independent investigation and accountability are the only ways to reduce the needle in haystack problem and restore some shared reality. Credible, impartial investigation and transparent reporting are therefore central to any healing process. So here are our practical recommendations from Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace. 1. Insist on impartial investigations and accountability. We insist on that. We push for independent, internationally supported investigations into alleged atrocities. We said alleged because the media, information, disinformation, so many. We need that investigation to be conducted by neutral investigators. And that applied equally to government forces, allied militias, and opposition groups. This builds a basis for truth and reduce impunity. 2. Support inclusive national dialogue with constitutional safeguards, if needed, reform. We advocate for dialogue that include regional voices, civil society, traditional elders, women and youth, and religious institutions, with explicit protection for federalism and minority rights to remove the fear that unity equals absorption. Third, we ask demilitarize political language. We encourage Prosperity Party and others to adopt de-escalatory public message. Avoid collective punishment language like it is happening on non-Oromos in Oromia today. Especially being an Amhara, and then it doesn't matter what religion you have. Being an Orthodox, it doesn't matter what ethnic background you have. You are persecuted. So we encourage an emphasis of reconciliation pathways, because words matter in reducing recruitment to armed groups. Remember, those elites, for instance, in Wallaga, people were slaughtered, murdered in one night. 500 of them, one night, buried in bulldozer, because one elite said unforgettable say. Where is he now? He is here in the US seeking asylum. So the demilitarized political language is very important here. 4. Neutral third-party mediation for proxy issues, where external actors are involved. Example, neighboring states or Gulf interests. If we call Eritrea neighbors, although its separation is arguable, and the Egypt's factor, and the overall Gulf areas in Red Sea access and what have you, must come with mediation, regionally mandated mediation. African Union, who can do nothing, dysfunctional at times, plus some trusted external guarantors to decouple regional competition from local disputes. Fifth is transparent development with local safeguards. Promote prosperity parts development projects, but insist on local consultation. How on earth are you going to displace millions of Ethiopians from that land and give the land for farming for Gulf states based on petrodollar exchange? What is there for the people? Where are those people? And it goes to the mining too. So we insist on local consultation, benefit sharing, and anti-corruption safeguards so that modernization is seen as shared rather than extractive. Now, sometimes one must ask how the Prosperity Party could reframe to reduce conflict and build durable legitimacy. Here we have some points for you. Recast unity as unity with rights. A public commitment that national integration will protect regional autonomy and cultural rights, religious rights, anchored in legal guarantees. And the Prosperity Party can pair security policy with robust civilian protection guarantees and independent oversight to reduce abuses and rebuild trust. Make national development projects transparent, open procurement, local hiring quotas, and public impact reporting to show tangible, fairly distributed benefits. The move to Oromize the whole Ethiopia, or in part, in particular in the Redwa and Addis Ababa, is unfair. Because somebody is an Oromo, it doesn't mean that that person, without qualification, without meritocratic view, take a position in government jobs or security apparatus. In closing, as a truth-seeking posture, I describe the truth as finding a needle in a haystack. That metaphor, my friends, is inapt because the haystack itself is large and alive. Layers of historical memory, grievances, governance failures, and outside interference. The Prosperity Party has tools, a development agenda, institutional reach, and a unifying message. But some tools can hurt legitimacy if used without inclusion, accountability, and de-escalatory politics. For Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace, the task is to press for processes that make truth visible. Independent investigations, inclusive dialogue, protection for rights and federal structures, and insulation of domestic politics from destructive proxy contexts. In the name of unity, one cannot crush differences. In the name of ethnic federalism, one cannot separate itself as an independent country. Thank you very much. This is our message, focused on and reflecting on the Ethiopian struggle through the life of a horse, a donkey, and a mule, locked together in one narrow space. Thank you very much.